We all have that quiet whisper in the back of our heads. This whisper isn't always present, but when it does appear, it immediately catches your attention. You respect this whisper because it seems to know something that you don't. It seems to understand the people around you in ways that you do not. There were times when you perhaps ignored its warnings and made decisions that you live to dread down the line. Other times, by listening to this voice, you were made to feel uneasy in certain situations, which prompted you to make your escape, only to later find out that you escaped a potentially very dangerous situation. This voice seems to guide you in your most crucial decisions and understands you better than you understand yourself. Some call it their inner voice. Others call it their intuition or instinct, or even the whisper of your highest self. Whatever you may call it, it is undeniable that it is almost a supernatural force in the human psyche, that when it pops up in our awareness, it's almost as if it always knows the right thing to do. Problem is that many of us tend to ignore its warnings and end up regretting it dreadfully, or at the very least, we postpone submitting to it and wasting valuable time confirming what we already knew was going to happen if we went down a certain path, and then having to double back and follow its direction. That's how so many of us end up feeling lost, purposeless, with no direction, no aim, no path, just confusion and suffering. Some of us are so disconnected from that internal whisper that we don't even know what is right for us, what our purpose is, what we're meant to be doing in life, and we end up spending the rest of our lives living in a way that doesn't serve us at all and never realize our internal shine. So my question to you is this: what if we could access that inner voice all the time? Not only when you have to make a crucial decision. How would that impact your life? How would you grow? How much more in alignment would you be? My name is Christos, and if you did not pick up on this yet, this is one of the most important discussions that I'm ever going to have with you, and it is the foundation to all of the wisdom and lessons I've accumulated over the years. Listening to your intuition is crucial. It won't only save you from possible danger or compromising situations, but it will also guide you towards your dream life. A life that perhaps at this very moment you don't even know that you want yet, because you're so disconnected from your higher self. Furthermore, in this discussion, we're going to talk about exactly how to remove the blocks preventing you from connecting with your highest self, and how to become so aligned with your inner voice that your life just seems to unfold almost naturally in ways that flourish you. In the meantime, I will be developing this illustration that symbolically represents today's topic, which I will reveal in its full glory at the end of the video. And for my fellow artists, I will make sure to include annotations to all the various art supplies that you see me use along the way. Have you ever met someone in your life that was very intuitive? I have, multiple. And funny enough, they all happen to be women. Growing up, my mother was very intuitive. She had family living abroad, and every now and then, she would get this uneasy feeling, this instinct to call my grandmother or one of my uncles to check on them, and almost always, her concerns will end up being valid. I've even experienced it myself sometimes after moving out. There were many instances where I was going through a rough patch, and just when I was at my lowest point, my mother would call me to check on me. It is very uncanny, but it taught me at a very young age the power of intuition and the utility of listening to it. I even had an ex-girlfriend of mine who was extremely intuitive as well. So much so that the day before we broke up, she texted me that she felt like something bad was going to happen. And at the time of receiving that text, I had no intention of breaking up with her, so I didn't take it seriously. But then I woke up the next day, and certain things had come to my awareness that made me feel totally different about our relationship, and we ended up breaking up later that day. But by then, I had learned to respect my inner voice and respect the power of intuition. So my ex-girlfriend having a sense that we would break up a day before we actually did only served as a reminder of what I already knew. I've had plenty of experiences in my life where I would meet certain people that made me feel a certain type of way. People that smile but have a sinister shadow in their eyes. Or people that come across extremely friendly, but I can tell that their friendliness is a facade to gain dominance and influence over me. And I almost always end up being right about them down the line. I've also gone through phases in my life where my inner voice would tell me I was on the wrong path, or that I needed to cut someone off from my life, or slow down in my pursuit of a specific goal. But I would resist the message, and I would make excuses as to why my intuition is wrong, as to why I was on the right path, and how that one person deserved to stay in my life, or how my obsessive pursuit of that one goal is the right way to go about it. And again, as always, I was proven wrong. All these experiences taught me that the more we listen to our intuition and the faster we adapt to its guidance, the more fulfilled and aligned our life is. Once you make that shift, your life will start to feel almost scripted. You know how when you watch a movie about a character that has a goal, and everyone surrounding this character is somehow relating to that goal? Spider-Man is a good example of this. What are the chances that most of Spider-Man's enemies are related to his secret identity somehow? His arch enemy is his best friend's father. Another enemy of his worked at the same newspaper company that he works at, and the list goes on and on. Don't get me wrong, it makes for very good and dramatic storytelling, but it is also very unrealistic. But when you start following your inner voice, it doesn't seem so unrealistic anymore. You will start to notice that all the right people and situations that can help you realize your dreams and vision seem to coincidentally find themselves around you, at your job, in the park, on your travels, and the whole world starts to shape itself to align with your highest purpose. Again, it's uncanny, but it's true. So why is it that so many of us fail to follow through on the guidance that our internal voice provides, even though we know how powerful and all-knowing it tends to be? The answer is simple: self-trust. Unfortunately, many of us do not trust ourselves to do right by us. We don't trust that our instincts are correct. And for some of us, going through a repeated process of not listening to the warnings of our higher selves and dealing with the consequences of doing so is the only way to finally shift our perspective and start taking our internal compass seriously. But that is a very painful route to take, as well as very passive, which I'm not a fan of. So rather, what is a more proactive way to build trust? One way is to learn how to follow through on the promises you make yourself. If you tell yourself that you're going to go to the gym at 8 o'clock, do your best to make that happen. If you don't think you can make it happen, if there's any doubt in your mind, then don't make that promise to yourself. I know you want to be productive and you want to push yourself to do 1,000 things at once. But if you ask too much of yourself to the point where you're consistently letting yourself down, then you're creating a dynamic of self-distrust. Yes, lean on the edge of your comfort zone when it comes to your goals, but don't overwhelm yourself. It's better to ask less of yourself and actually achieve those goals, thus building a dynamic of self-trust. Another way to build self-trust is by sitting with the tension of your decisions. This is a practice that I learned from a book, but unfortunately I do not remember the title of it. But the point is, I'm sure you had days when you walked out of your house to go to work or to meet a friend, and you instantly had this feeling that you might have forgotten something. Maybe you left the gas on back at home, or maybe you didn't lock the front door of your house. A lot of us will have a strong desire to go back and check, only to find out that we did the thing we thought we might have forgotten anyway. But the author of this book claims that by going back to check, you lessen your self-trust. Instead, just sit with the uncertainty, sit with the doubt, and let it wash through you. Trust that you did lock the door, that you did put the leftover dinner in the fridge, and continue on your journey. Now that we are building a more healthy relationship with ourselves, one that is founded on trust and self-belief, we need to take the next step, which is giving space to our intuition to speak to us. Be honest with yourself. When was the last time that you actually sat down with yourself in absolute silence? When was the last time that you went on a walk or to the gym without your headphones on? When was the last time that you went a whole day being present with yourself and not listening to music or a podcast in the background or watching a video to keep you entertained when you're bored? For most of us, the answer is either a long time ago, or if we did do such a thing recently, it's not being done often enough. We live in a world full of distractions. Advertisers, online content, and people are constantly fighting for our attention. And in order for us to truly get in touch with ourselves, and as a result, our inner voice, we have to cut out as many of these distractions as possible. Here are some easy practices to get you started. Number 1. Start a meditation practice. Have at least a 5-minute meditation session every day, and gradually build it up to having 20 or 30 minutes of meditation daily. Meditation is one of those practices that is simply life-changing. Not only will you become more relaxed and comfortable being in your body in the present moment, but you will also give your mind the break it needs from the constant stimulus of the world and reconnect you with your innermost self. Number 2. Adopt a journal. Journaling is another powerful and life-changing habit. Spend at least 5 minutes a day writing down your thoughts, ideas, concerns, frustrations, or whatever else is plaguing your mind at any given moment. Your mind is a lot like a computer, in the sense that it can get overloaded and bogged down by all the information, random thoughts, and unprocessed information or emotions that you accumulate during the day. By sitting down and transferring all that data onto a piece of paper, it frees up your mind to not only allow your intuition to speak to you, but also have the space for new thoughts, new ideas, new information. Additionally, you'd be surprised how many of your thoughts are the same thoughts you had yesterday and the day before, as well as how many patterns of your life become apparent just by sitting down and writing about your day daily. Number 3, dedicate one day of your week to a silent day. That means that on one day of your choosing, every week, you will not wear your headphones, you will not have any background music or podcast or anything playing in the background, but rather, whatever it is that you're doing it in absolute silence, in absolute presence. If you're cooking on a silent day, you're there cooking in silence. Just you, the cooking process, and your thoughts. Same goes for when you're at the gym, for when you're going for a walk, and for when you're falling asleep. A silent day is meant to be a whole day where you're just present with yourself, your thoughts, and whatever task you're engaged in. Last but not least, increase the amount of presence that you engage in on your daily life. This is an extension of the silent day. You want to start to gradually getting more and more comfortable being in silence, being present with yourself, and not giving in to distractions. That means leave your headphones at home when you're going for walks or working out or doing creative work. Start living your life as present as humanly possible, being engaged and fully aware of your thoughts, your feelings, and eventually your inner voice. I cannot stress enough how important it is that you take the practices and habits that we outlined in this discussion seriously. They might require a bit of a lifestyle change for a lot of us, but honestly, if you're feeling a strong resistance to adopting any of these habits, it's probably a sign that you're way too addicted to outside stimulation and entertainment, and therefore it's even more important that you disconnect from these distractions and connect with your inner voice. Connecting with your inner voice is a transformative experience, and that cannot be overstated. Your purpose in life becomes so much more clear and obvious when you do so, and you begin having a very strong magnetic quality that naturally attracts all the right people, all the right influences, all the right inspirations in your life in order for you to realize your vision. You will instinctively know when it's time to end a relationship, when it's time to move on to a different path, and you're going to know exactly what you need to do at any given moment in time in order to grow and advance your life exponentially to the next level. It's really not a joke, and it's something that I want you to experience for yourself. So again, take this seriously and transform your life for the better. I love you and I believe in you. Thank you for joining me in this discussion. And as I promised earlier, I reveal to you now the final illustration in its full glory.